Local Justice, presented by Elrod Pope Law Firm, serving our community since 1980. Here's your host, Attorney Ben Leader.
Welcome to Local Justice. Today we're honored to have someone as our guest who is deeply rooted in this community, both as a practicing attorney and as well as a public servant. Mayor John Gettys has overseen a transformative period of growth throughout the city of Rock Hill over the last 8 or 9 years, and he's done so while providing steady and thoughtful leadership along the way. We're grateful to have Mayor Gettys on the show today. Thank you for being with us, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time, and I look forward to having a conversation.
Me too. Look forward to it, Ben.
Just to get us started, I'd love to hear just a little bit about your background, where you were born and raised, and how you grew up, and
Sure.
what led you to law school.
Yeah, so I was born in Columbia, South Carolina. My dad went to law school, took his first job in Greenville, so I was born right as he took the bar in Columbia. When they took me home from the hospital, drove to Greenville to his first job. He got into the trust business at banks from a legal perspective. So we went from Greenville, 4 years later or so, went to Orangeburg for a few years. Every banker in South Carolina does some stint in Orangeburg, it seems. And then back to Columbia, and then moved to Rock Hill when I was 13. 3 days before I started 7th grade, which back then was junior high school, and been in Rock Hill ever since. Went off to college, Erskine College, and then USC for law school and graduate school. I've got a master's in public administration, and then came home to practice law, and just always wanted to be a lawyer, just always did.
Well, I know being in the family business, probably help lead you in that direction.
Well, you know how that is.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You mentioned the master's in public administration. That's not something you typically hear of people doing with law school. Did you always have a vision of public service, or was that?
Well, I always wanted to serve in whatever capacity it would be. Read a lot of books and sort of inspired me when I was young, and that's why I went out in schools and others in the community. I beg people, just read.
Yeah.
It's great for you. You do anything in the world if you can read. And at Erskine, I had a real good undergraduate. Had a real good experience. Had a new president come into Erskine into my junior year, and sort of got involved. And the president of the school encouraged me maybe to go into higher education versus law school. I said, "Yeah, no, I'm going to law school." Got there and was in orientation, and I heard, we've got these joint degrees, an MBA. Well, that's not me. Or an MPA in public administration. And I went, well, that could be something. And maybe I decided I don't want to practice law. So I just sort of tripped into it, if you will. Enjoyed the classes, and it served me well over my career.
Oh yeah, it sets up perfectly. And I noticed just with your background that you didn't waste any time getting involved in the community. After starting the firm, it looked like you jumped right into, was it city council?
Yep. So when I first came to Rock Hill, I worked with Hugh Harrelson and Wes Hayes and David Guyton.
Yeah.
I was there for 6 years and enjoyed it. And then Jim Morton and I started Morton and Gettys. A funny story that folks from Rock Hill will understand completely. We had opened up Morton and Gettys in April of 2001. And then in the fall of 2002, there was an opening on city council that wasn't scheduled. It was an off-election, special election. And I was out in the front yard with our 2 youngest kids at the time. The young one was really young. Our middle son was really young at the time. And a car pulled up in my driveway, and Betty Jo Ray got out of the front seat, and she said, "Hey, John, you're running for city council." And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I guess I am." And so it took off from there.
That's great, and it seems like you've stayed involved in some capacity, boards, public service, pretty much ever since then.
Yeah, Rock Hill's a special place. I mean, everybody's heard me say that, and I believe it in my innermost core, as do you and so many other people who grew up in Rock Hill and were raised by this village that we call home. And it's just a real joy in life to be around people that I didn't grow up with, or people that moved to Rock Hill and recognize how special this community is, and to share that, and then to share, in different committees and different opportunities, how we could be more than we've ever been. And to see this growth that you mentioned over the last decade or so, 15 years or so, and what it's meant for us as a people really is inspiring.
Absolutely. I know that being a mayor is a full-time job in and of itself, and you're also a practicing attorney on top of that. And I want to talk about the mayor duties in a little bit, but I'd like to start with kind of your role at the Morton & Gettys firm. I believe you're one of the founding partners and one of the managing partners as well.
That's right.
Tell us kind of what type of law is your specialty, and what does kind of a day in the life of a probate attorney look like?
Right. Well, we opened up Morton & Gettys 25 years ago next year. We'll celebrate our 25th year. And so my role there has always been as a partner, as an owner at the beginning, to be in charge of some things, and Jim Morton was in charge of others. And then over time, as we grew, what we did really well, I think, and Jim and I will both take a lot of credit for this, probably undeservedly, is we hired really good people, both as lawyers and as staff people. And I think when you look at the number of lawyers we've had over the years that are still with us and still practice with us for 20-something years themselves now, staff members that have been there for as long as they have, we really get each other, we really like each other. And so that makes the managing partner role a lot easier. We've hired really well. We've got a great chief of operations, Robin Owens, who just runs the business of the firm now pretty much. And then our partners are 7 of us. We do a good job of working together. That's sometimes not the case, but we're very fortunate in that regard.
That's right. And I think a lot of people think of a law firm purely from a practice of law standpoint, and a lot of people don't realize the business side of it and just how much is involved in managing a law firm.
Yeah. Yes, every day. You're right. I practice in the fields of residential real estate, which I always have, and then now doing a lot more probate litigation and probate administration, estate planning. Heath Myers, who works with us, is also in those fields. So we're sort of a tag team, and we've got 4 paralegals that we work with in those various areas. So we've got a good team. Heath's a great young lawyer. I think he may do your show down in the future.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's really rewarding to me to see Heath, who grew up in Rock Hill as well, who's about 20 years younger than I am, love his community as much as he does and come back home to practice law. And you'll see that with so many of our lawyers grew up in either Fort Mill or York or Rock Hill. So it's personal. And
That's right.
That, as your firm as well. And that really, I think, is one of the things that distinguishes each of our firms from many other law practices.
Absolutely. You don't see a lot of law firms, exist for a decade anymore, much less 25, 45 years. And that's the testament to good hiring and good people.
No doubt.
We will be back in just a moment after a quick word from our sponsors, and thank you again for your time.
Oh, absolutely.
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
We know the type. You like to start early, finish late, make lemon squares, and make payments to the college fund from anywhere in the house. We know you rely on Comporium for the things you rely on most, like a view of the backyard. That's just a bunny, and hundreds of channels to watch, whenever you want. So you may think of us as just your internet company, but we're more like the I didn't know they could do all that company. Comporium, always ready.
Coke Zero is now Coke Zero Sugar, with great Coke taste. Some people were excited to hear the news, some were skeptical. So we're not gonna have the star of the show you're watching come out and say, "You'll love it." No special jingle written by this week's hottest pop star. No famous internet celebs who happen to be holding the label just so. Okay, maybe just one little pour shot. The only thing that will make you believe Coke Zero Sugar has great Coke taste is trying it yourself. Ice cold Coke Zero Sugar. Try one today.
Being there for someone in their time of need is what Green Funeral Home has done compassionately for 4 generations. It's a privilege we take very seriously.
We believe each life should be honored and remembered by family and friends. Whether you choose traditional burial in our chapel or another venue, or cremation provided by our on-site crematory, we will help guide you through each step to ensure your needs are met.
We are also available to discuss pre-planning. Peace of mind that you have helped your loved one by making those difficult decisions.
When the need arises, our family is here for your family.
Welcome back to Local Justice. We're here with Mayor John Gettys today, and we're talking about probate court. We're talking about his role as the mayor and getting to know Mayor Gettys a little bit better, and talking some about justice in the community as well. Want to go back to kind of your role at Morton and Gettys. I know one of the things that you see a lot are conservatorships, guardianships, special needs trust. Want you to touch on kind of what that is and how that relates to justice and protecting our community.
Sure. Well, guardianships and conservatorships exist under South Carolina law so that people of diminished capacity can be protected. So a guardianship is a role that someone is court appointed to look out over the person. A conservatorship is a court appointed individual that looks after the assets of a person. So a lot of times you'll see folks of diminished capacity due to age or other accidents or other unknowns that come about in life, need both a guardianship and conservatorship. Someone who can help make medical decisions, but also invest any monies that they may have, or pay rent or pay for needs and things of that nature. And then you have folks that are born of all abilities, and they have a diminished capacity under the law, but they don't really need a conservatorship because they're on public benefits and things of that nature, but they do need a guardianship. So if they go to the hospital, somebody can talk to the doctors or the hospital administrators, get medical records, deal with those aspects. So you see those with all abilities needing usually just a guardianship. And you don't need that until someone turns 18, of course, if it's someone of diminished capacity born with those needs. And at that point in time, the state, through Medicaid and other opportunities like ABLE accounts and things of that have been created, really do provide a good baseline of care. And our system's set up as good as it could be. There always could be more funds available. You have to qualify for Medicaid coverage sometimes, and your assets may disqualify from you. So that's when you get into the need for charitable trust or charitable remainder trust or ABLE accounts, other ways so that assets are still available to someone of diminished capacity or for their benefit, but aren't disqualifying that individual from the public benefits that they have to have, Medicaid coverage for hospital stays.
Absolutely, and it's such a critical piece to the puzzle of protecting those benefits at the end of the day. And I mean, these are people that are some of the most vulnerable in our community, and going through this process really does help protect them and their assets. And I know that even in our line of work, we deal with a lot of people kind of going through the worst of times, but we often lean towards experts to help with the special needs trust and to make sure all those I's are dotted and T's are crossed, because it can have huge impacts.
Yeah, I don't do those trusts. That's for smart lawyers, and I stay away from those.
Speaking of kind of mentorship, and I know being a legacy attorney, you probably looked up a lot to your dad, who was a former probate judge here and a longtime local lawyer as well. What other local legal legends or mentors did you kind of look to when you were growing up and starting as a young lawyer? I'm sure just like you, when I started practicing law, my dad told me, you need to go around and knock on doors and introduce yourself to the lawyers that are here. And I can remember going to see your dad. I can remember going to see Jim Harden, David White, Thomas McDowell, all the attorneys that have been around for a good while, and just introducing myself to them. And I'll tell you, it was the right thing to do. You show respect to those that have been in the business, but it really helped me, and I'm sure you as well, because all of those older lawyers, not old, but older lawyers that were practicing, were good to me during my career. Absolutely.
And sent me work that they either couldn't do or didn't want to do that helped me sort of get my feet under me sooner or quicker than I think other attorneys my age that didn't have that background, that didn't have that dad in your ear saying, you need to go say hello to people, introduce yourself. And of course I did it. It was the right thing to do, and it made all the difference in the world. So to pick out one person in our community or two that really have impacted me would do it injustice to so many. I mean, I think of Red Ferguson, who's retired, and so many others, that just putting your arm around a young attorney and saying, dude, you're not very good at this, let me help you. And helping so that you know what you're doing, or at least have the confidence that you belong, just really made a big impact on me.
That's right. I also practice in North Carolina and a member of the Mecklenburg Bar, and I can't tell you how just unique the York County Bar is in the sense of the mentorship and the camaraderie, and the senior lawyers truly do enjoy taking the young lawyers under their wing and mentoring them, regardless of whether they're competitor firms or whatnot. I remember Richards McRae took me to lunch one of my first weeks on the job here, and gave me some great insight that I still look back to and I'm reminded of constantly. So.
Did he make you pay for lunch?
He did not. I think Morton Gettys picked that up.
Well, good. We should have.
Well, that's great. And not, along the same lines of, in your role as a mayor, you also followed a really great string of leadership between Mayor Betty Jo, the late Betty Jo Ray, and Mayor Eccles, and I'm sure that also helped, enable you to do a lot of the things you've done as mayor, was that steady stream of good leadership.
You're absolutely right. Betty Jo, Doug, and then city council members. Kevin Sutton, who's been on city council for 30 years or so, and John Black and Jim Marino. I served with both Kevin and Jim when we were on city council, and Kathy Pender when I was on city council from 2002 to 2010, and watched Doug, and I watched how he handled himself, how he did things. But really the success, and I think everybody on city council would agree with this, the real success of our community, we play a role, elected officials do. The people really drive what we do in Rock Hill. When you get a group in front of you and say, hey, we want a performing arts center like there's a group trying to do now, it's going to happen. The time it's going to take to get there may be longer or shorter than you want it to be, but we know we're going to get there because we have the Sports and Event Center, and we have Miracle Park.
Absolutely.
We have all these things that we've seen that were started because of our people, and that really is what separates us from other communities I know. And then on top of that, to have the staff we do, David Vihan, Stephen Gibson, Jimmy Bagley, and all the department heads over there, they're as strong as you can find. And speaking of good lawyers and protecting our community, the Spencer firm, Paul Dillingham, Mark White, the value that they bring to the benefit of the people of Rock Hill really can't be measured.
The continuity of good leaders, and combined with, really caring people. It sounds cliche, but the people in the community really are what makes us different.
Yeah.
We'll be back momentarily to wrap up things with Mayor Gettys, and we'll see you shortly. Thank you.
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
At Palmetto Pride, we know we have a choice. The choice for a cleaner South Carolina. And it's an easy one at that. Don't litter. No grand gestures or heroic efforts here, but the outcome still has monumental impacts. When it comes to our state, every choice counts and every action matters. From the great outdoors to parks next door, from Main Street to your street. All it takes is a little bit of pride to keep South Carolina beautiful.
When a catastrophe hits, it can be a very stressful time for you. When you have trees on your house, when you have trees on your cars, and you don't know what to do, you call us.
We're not a 1-800 number, we're an 803 number. We've been in business for over 60 years because we take care of our clients. That means taking care of them during claim situations.
We're not 9 to 5, we're 24/7. We're gonna be there when you need us most. Gill Insurance, your local auto owner's agent. Understanding business is how we do business.
When it comes to prescription medications and health needs, Rock Hill residents have been turning to Good Pharmacy for over 50 years.
I've been coming to Good Pharmacy since we came to Rock Hill in 1984, and I would not change pharmacists for anything.
With their knowledgeable staff, you can always trust that your prescription will be filled with complete confidence and care for your health. Good Pharmacy, conveniently located at the corner of Ebenezer Road and Camden Avenue.
At Founders, we know your finances matter. That's why we have loans for any reason.
Can Founders help us with our mortgage?
Of course.
Can Founders get me an
auto loan? Not a problem.
Nice.
Can we do something about this?
Home improvements? Absolutely.
How about just getting ahead?
Pay down some bills? We can do that. When you need a loan, our great low rates give you the opportunity to invest in the most important thing, you. So relax. At Founders, we're with you every step of the way.
Welcome back to Local Justice. I'm Ben Leader, and I'm here with Mayor John Gettys. Mayor Gettys, thank you again for your time today.
Absolutely.
Really enjoyed the conversation, and want to talk a little bit more about your role as mayor. And you know, in your view, what does justice mean to you, and how do you think Rock Hill has done in terms of making progress and providing, you know, access to justice to everyone in our community?
Well, this is a great question. I mean, it really is, and I thank you for asking it for a lot of different reasons, but to focus on one, you know, we're in South Carolina, and we've got a long history, some of it good, some of it not so good. Sure. And we live in a community that is a textile town at its heart, at its roots. That's who we were, that's what we've grown from, and we're transforming from that in a lot of ways through our economy, but what we can't lose sight of is who we are and how we protect that heritage that we all can claim because of the community we live in. But what we also need to do, and this is where I think I'm so proud of our city council and management team, is we have to recognize that Rock Hill has to be a community for all people. And so what we've done in city council the last 7 years is create a market on the south side of Rock Hill. We've just renovated McGirt Auditorium at the old Emmett Scott High School, which was the African American school before integration of schools. McGirt Auditorium was renovated. We put about $7.5 million into that project, and it's the first real public investment on the south side of Rock Hill in our lifetimes. That's great. Which is a remarkable thing. We're going to turn dirt this fall on a new regional park right behind the American Legion on Heckle Boulevard, again on the south side. A huge project for us. It'll be twice the size of Cherry Park as to acreage. We'll see football and baseball fields and a lot of other things out there, amenities that we don't have presently on the south side of town. And all of this is due because our city council was very courageous, in my opinion. We annexed some 2,500 acres out on I-77, all voluntary annexations, and created a tax increment district. And what that basically means is that the improvements in property on that side of town, when you build a building, you build a trucking center, or you build a distribution facility, or a manufacturing facility like Steva out on Porter Road, or Karis Cold out off of 901, that the property taxes from those new improvements out there in that tax increment district are used to pay for public improvements. That's how we rebuilt Rock Hill, the same methodology. In downtown Rock Hill, the county and the schools partnered with us to do that. The county and the schools chose not to partner with us on the south side of Rock Hill. So it is only the city using the city's tax revenues to rebuild the south side so that our community grows uniformly over time. We have a funding source now that can't be spent anywhere else but the south side of Rock Hill. And it's not by raising taxes on you, me, or anybody on the south side. It's by new development coming. To me, that's justice. That's using this growth that we're bringing to us now because of how good a community we've built, quality of life, and all these things for generations now, and using that to shoehorn economic development in a manner that's going to allow us over the next 30 years change our community for the better for all of our people. I'm very proud of that for our city council and the planning commission and others that have played a role. And it's something that, you know, we can see now over $600 million invested in downtown Rock Hill in the last 8 years. We won't see those kind of numbers on the south side initially, but over time we will. And the tax revenue for that being there to put in new water lines, new sewer lines, going in to help with affordable housing once we get developers who want to do that on that side of town, we're really going to see all of Rock Hill thrive.
That's phenomenal. And I know you mentioned sports, you know, being involved in that. I'm curious, you know, how big of a role has sports in general and you know, everything we've done to make Rock Hill have its own niche played a role in bridging gaps in the community and bringing us together?
Well, it's wonderful. I mean, so we'll look at it from an economic perspective. I was on the sports commission, helped prepare and found the sports commission a little over a decade ago, and at the time our goal was to have an economic impact from sports tourism of about $20 million a year. This past year was $124 million. Wow. So that's money that's come in not to the city but to the business owners, the hoteliers, the restaurants, the retail shops, the gas stations, money that's come into the city because of these sports events during the week and on the weekends, these tourists that come to town. And then the city does get a 2% tax on prepared foods and beverages, and it gets a 1%, I think, tax on room rates, accommodations taxes. And we use those monies to pay for these improvements so that all our kids can play, so that we can redo the parks on the south side of town, like Carroll Park and League Street Park, so we can pay for the renovations at McGirt Auditorium, help pay for the new regional park. So we see, again, all these benefits coming to all of our community because people from outside are coming in and spending their money here rather than our property taxes going up on the city side.
Yeah, that's great. And one thing I've noticed too, just over the last few years under your leadership, is access to transportation is now, throughout the city, and that's something that I think also can help bridge gaps, and that tremendous job on the leadership and initiative to push these things forward. Want to kind of bring things in for Landon with some rapid fire questions for you, just for everybody to get to know you a little bit better. Favorite lunch spot in town?
Oh, I can't. You can't ask the mayor these kind of questions, right? How could you not love the Ebenezer Grill?
That's right.
Right. That's always at the top of everybody's list.
I got I'm going to put you in a pickle here based on your children's affiliations with universities, Clemson or Carolina.
So I have two sons that graduated from Clemson, and I have my third son who said, nah, it's not me, and he's at the University of South Carolina. And that's sort of our household. My wife is a Carolina fan. I went to USC, grew up in Columbia, so I'm a USC fan. But I went to some Clemson games. I wouldn't wear orange, but I did wear purple. And certainly cheer for anybody when we're playing outside of those two playing each other.
That's right. If you weren't being a practicing attorney, being in public service, what would you be doing right now?
I have no idea. I really don't. I absolutely love my occupation. Always wanted to be a lawyer. Absolutely love every day of, well, that's not true. I love every day of being mayor. I do. Every day, even the hard days, the tough days. I love every day of that because you're working for everybody else. Lawyers have hard days, and I have to go home and sit under a tree for a while sometimes because it's heavy stuff.
It is.
But I do appreciate the blessings that I've gotten in life to be around good people and to be with people on their best days and be with people on their worst days.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us today, Mayor.
Absolutely.
I've really enjoyed getting to chat with you, and I hope the viewers enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better and hearing some of your thoughts on justice and some of the things we've got going on in the community. So thanks again, and look forward to continuing the conversation another day with you.
Sounds good. See you at Ebenezer Grill.
That's right. That's it for Local Justice. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
As soon as I contacted Elrod Pope, they handled everything. Without Elrod Pope's help, I'd have been paying hospital bills for years to come. Elrod Pope just took the stress and they put it on their table and took it off mine.
Coming to Elrod Pope, I didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken care of. It put me in a real calm state because I had someone on my side. I knew that I was in the right hands. It felt great.
Kidney disease is becoming more and more prevalent, especially with diabetes and hypertension. My training with kidney disease helps me to talk to patients and guide them through the steps that they can take, the changes that they can make into their lifestyles. And we have a dedicated team of providers, including dietitians and pharmacists that we work with to educate patients towards achieving that.
We know the type. You like to start early, finish late, make lemon squares, and make payments to the college fund from anywhere in the house. We know you rely on Comporium for the things you rely on most, like a view of the backyard. That's just a bunny, and hundreds of channels to watch, whenever you want. So you may think of us as just your internet company, but we're more like the I didn't know they could do all that company. Comporium, always ready.
From my first watch I purchased as a teenager, which still runs today, to the diamond ring I surprised my wife with, which she still talks about today. A gift from Norman Hagee is as good as it gets. Whether it's elegant timepieces by Bulova, Caravel, and Bel Air, or ornamental ironwork-inspired Southern Gates collection, or dazzling fine jewelry. A gift from Hagee is backed by over 60 years of family-owned and operated experience. Norman Hagee Jewelers, for gifts as good as it gets.